Hey everybody, welcome back to Pierre Hedary's Classic Mercedes channel, the only channel on YouTube where you will learn all the obscure facts about the cars that you Google every day. So today I have a special guest here. This is my friend Art Lasky. And Art was, I try to learn a little bit about the history, not just of the cars, but of my profession. And so Art ran a shop in Los Angeles called Century Motors. And to be more specific, he was in North Hollywood. I had customers over the years, two of them exactly, tell me about his shop in the past and what a cool place it was. And I don't know if they'd necessarily ever been there, but it sort of had a reputation all of its own. So without further ado, Art, tell us a little bit about how you got into Mercedes and when you started.
Well, I actually started when I was still in high school. I went to work for a Mercedes Benz repair while I was still in school.
Which is exactly what I did too.
And I started cleaning tools because that's all they would allow me to do. And so I worked, for several years for them, and I learned from basically two gentlemen that were both 10 years older than I am and had a lot of experience on Mercedes, and they taught me from the ground up. And it was a very rewarding
And where
experience.
was this?
Excuse me?
Where was this?
This was very close to Beverly Hills, LA. I mean, the LA area, but close to Beverly Hills.
Okay. This was an area where Mercedes were very popular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started working on Mercedes yourself? When you decided that you wanted your own shop?
Well, I was about 18, 19 years old when I started, and I knew pretty much, within 6 months that this was something really interesting to me, and I like working with my hands and my head, and I enjoyed talking to customers.
Good. I can empathize with that because that's how old I was when I decided that this is what I wanted to do too. So I certainly have the same past. Now, what were some of the cars that were popular in North Hollywood at the time that you were running your shop? What kind of Mercedes did you see on a day in and day out basis?
Well, the shop wasn't exactly in North Hollywood. Our shop was it was actually in West Los Angeles, and it was between Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Culver City.
Those all sound like nice places where you wouldn't get shot at night.
No, actually, they're all pretty good places because a lot of the studios were around there. We had a lot of managers of people that were in show business, and we were kind of right off the freeway, so most of the actors that were going to 20th Century Fox Studios came off the freeway, wouldn't have to pass us on the way to work.
Not because their cars broke down on the freeway, but because Century Motors was conveniently located.
Conveniently located, and they knew every day that we had coffee and donuts at 10 o'clock, and they all stopped in to have coffee and donuts with us.
That's pretty cool. So early on, I know that you had a lot of interesting customers. Why don't you tell us some of the people that you worked with and what kind of cars they had?
Well, a lot of them, first of all, came from 20th Century Fox. We did Steve McQueen, we did Ali McGraw, we did Jack Nicholson, we did Leonard Nimoy, Harrison Ford, all of the crew from Dallas and Dynasty. So I don't know if anybody.
So some of these were people that were driving Mercedes on screen actually drove them in real life too.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That's great. I think you mentioned at one point to me that you owned a 450 SLC that was owned by Ringo Starr.
Yeah. I think it was probably in the late 70s that his attorney was one of my customers, and he offered me, a car that Ringo Starr had owned with his wife. And so I bought the car. It was a 1974 450 SLC with the license plate Ramoth 7, which was his music company at the time.
Yeah.
And like a dummy, I should have held on to the car, but I did sell it to one of my customers who went on to...
Well, it was just a 450 SLC back then. It wasn't,
Yeah, but, since it was owned by one of the Beatles, it was pretty exceptional.
Right. Well, that's true. John Lennon's 300 TD wagon, I think, sold for over $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you had not just a repair shop, but a body shop as well.
Right. We built a body shop a few blocks away in 1977. And what we did is we did all the mechanical restoration, and then it would go to the body shop without the engine in it. They would do the paint work.
In the engine bay.
In the engine bay. The interior went to a friend of mine down the street who was excellent. And
so much talent in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And also the woodwork went out to another very, very talented person. So then when we got it back, we put everything back together. And
you had a restored Mercedes.
Well, what we would do is we would actually basically pre-sell the car. And I would sell the customer a car that we had.
And then you would do all the...
while we restored the other one.
Interesting.
So we didn't have to rush the job. And then we painted it whatever color they wanted, whatever interior they wanted.
How many people did you have working for you between the two operations?
We had a little over 20 employees.
So what it takes you hear that, guys, to do a total paint and body engine out restoration on a Mercedes in 9 months, it takes 20 people.
Well, that wasn't counting the upholsterer and the woodwork.
Okay, so not counting upholstery and woodwork, it takes 20 people, which is it shows how many man hours go into making one of these cars right. It's funny how when people bring one of these cars in, they think, oh, snippety snap, we can just get this done left and right, but it's amazing the amount of effort you have to put in to get one of these cars done.